Hey folks, well, I'm in our kitchen in order to share with you my devotional for this week. So uh, take just a moment with us as we consider verse 17. Of course, it says, "And take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God." I think all of us have celebrated as believers the gift of salvation that we have through Jesus Christ. Uniquely with the armor of God, we're to take the helmet of salvation. What an important piece of the armor to protect our thoughts, our considerations, our intentions or choices, that all of it is surrounded, as it were, encased in the reality of our salvation, the assurance that God Himself has rescued us from eternal damnation and the curse of sin and death. He's also given us this weapon. Not only is it defensive, but it is offensive, right? It is the weapon, the sword of the Spirit, which is the Word of God. And of course, that brings me to my illustration, which you're probably all curious about. So, I love a good sharp knife in the kitchen, right? And the reason for the sharpness is in order for it to do its job, right? If we're in the middle of preparing some kind of great casserole or something that's mixed with a bunch of fresh vegetables, slicing and dicing, the better, sharper the knife is, the faster it gets done, the more accurately it gets done in order that we can enjoy the feast that's being prepared. And I'm just getting hungry just talking about it. But so often, right, we don't take time to sharpen the knife. I was thinking about this earlier today that we our knives that we picked out back when Jennifer and I first got married at our registry was I especially wanted to make sure we had a really good set of knives. And sure enough, here we are 26 years later with still a pretty good set of knives, though I think maybe it might be time for a little upgrade. But throughout those years, we've had to sharpen those knives. I think it would be worth pointing out what the writer of Hebrews says in chapter 4. Let me read this for you in terms of the Word of God. He says, "It is living and active," and here's the related point, "sharper than any two-edged sword." So not just the fact that it is a two-edged sword, but it's sharper than it. It distinctly stands out to be able to do something far beyond with a level of accuracy and intent that no two-edged sword could do. As good as and valuable as they are, uniquely the Word of God is actually sharper and actually describes piercing to the division of the soul, the spirit, of joints and of marrow, and discerning the thoughts and intentions of the heart. Wow, the Word of God. I just want to encourage you today. As we continue to embrace the Logos, we allow the very reality of all that God is. As we study the Scriptures, memorize them, apply them to our lives, it provides for us a level of accuracy and ability to separate things from our lives that don't belong, things that often bring confusion or weigh us down or burden. The Word of God actually pierces through. Folks, I think we're all well aware we're living in a time of relativism where everything seems to be gray. But the power of the Word of God, the absolute truth throughout all these thousands of years, God has pierced the darkness, pierced the confusion in order to give us a clarity of absolute truth. So every time we ponder the Word of God, every time we study the Word of God, every time we memorize and meditate on it, we're bringing out a knife that is sharper than. It is actually able to bring about something in our life that nothing else in this world can bring. Wow, nice. Even the sound of it is amazing. Nice, freshly cut apple. God bless y'all.